Hello there, Itroo here. Today we're going to be having a quick look back at the global trade network from the Docklands DLC. Now previously, before Highlife, the Steam carriages were the best single exchange ratio item, and when you combined it with the trade union items like Bruno for advanced weapons and steam motors for extra goods every third cycle, and Suzanne for light bulbs every fourth cycle, you could be having a lot of production and items for trading on the global trade network. Now, is this still the same case? Is Steam carriages the best item in game? Short answer, no. They are still extremely profitable and extremely viable. However, there is a new king on the global trade network. So, the new best item to use in the global trade network is the elevators. There's a few reasons why this is, but if we just have a look at this and we just look at the pure numbers on the trade ratios, that'll be the first example of why. So if we have a look in the global trade network here, so we have a trade setup here for the Steam carriages, which I have at exchange ratio 1 at a 2 times ratio. And we're going to be utilizing 100 Steam carriages, and we're going to be trading for cigars for all the items. So as we were saying before, you can get advanced weapons every third cycle, which is 33 based on 100. Same with the steam motors, that's 33 as well. And then the light bulbs is 25 because it is 1 every fourth cycle. So if we have a look at those numbers and add them all together, we get a sum total of 591 cigars that we can get from a single production line from the Steam carriages from all the extra goods. Now if we have a look at the elevators, 100 elevators is 473. However, this is only at grade 2. If I was to move this up, the same amount of just the elevators, now it's at grade 1, is 592. That's one more than all these combined. And you have to remember as well that you might not be utilizing and getting all these in and trading them all off. You might be utilizing some of these goods. So just for a pure exchange ratio, the elevators far outdo the Steam carriages. The next thing we'll have a look at is the actual production time and space required for each of the actual items as well. So if we have a look at the processing and production time here, as you can see here, if we have a look at the Steam carriages, the base production time of the cab lines is 30 seconds to make the actual production. Forgetting all the sub-products, just the actual main combination item. Whereas the elevators are 15 seconds base. Now I do have trade union items on both of them and electricity on both of my production lines, and I've got the Steam carriages down to 12 seconds on production. Sure, you could push it even higher or lower. And the elevators, I've actually got mine being processed at the moment down to 5 seconds. So just purely on a production time and how quickly you can actually turn them out, the elevators are so much quicker to make. Next, the actual size of the production space that you're going to need to actually make the items. Now, as you know, the cab lines themselves are a hefty size building. And then, unfortunately, to actually make the carriages, you're going to need a lot of big production lines as well, specifically the coach makers. Coach makers, you're going to be needing a lot of coach makers just to keep on top of one production line of cab lines. They go through the coach makers at an incredible rate. So if you have a look here, we have all this space over here for coach makers and cab lines. We have more cab lines over here and even more coach makers up here. That's an awful lot of space over here being utilized. And we are currently producing, let's have a quick look, 138 tons of Steam carriages at the moment off that giant piece of land over here. Now if we actually have a look at the elevators. That is the size of an elevator, or elevator construction building. It is a tiny, tiny production. And the items you can actually get quite easily through other small production buildings, and all the items, apart from steam carriages over steam engines, are actually tradable in the global network as well. So as you can see, just on a pure land to production basis, the elevators are a much more condensed and versatile actual building for producing for trade networks. Now if we have a look at how many buildings we have over here, I have 6 elevators, which are just these over here. And the elevators, we shouldn't be producing too much, but as you can see, 90 tons of elevators off that tiny little footprint versus 130 from this huge space over here. So just on the landmass, forgetting about the ratios, the elevators are way, way, way outperforming the actual steam carriages. The next 2 reasons why we'll have a look why they are much better are logistical ones. And the first thing we need to look at is understanding the workforce required to actually provide all this production here. So if we have a look at the cab lines, the actual cab lines for the coach makers is 150 engineers, and then another 500 engineers on top of that across all of these. And we have 29 cab lines on here, and we have 71 coach makers on the island. We're producing only slightly more than the actual elevators that are being utilized over here. So with the right items, normally it would be 500 workers for an elevators. However, with the items to boost productivity and whatnot, we actually switch out to engineers, and we are going to be utilizing 600 engineers. And the fact that we only have 6 here times 600 versus the over 100 other production lines on the other island, that is thousands of workers that you are saving literally just by switching over to these production lines. And the last reason why you should be switching over to elevators for a trade is if you are exporting all the actual goods in and out of your islands, you are going to be having 4 times the amount of ships transporting goods around, because you're going to need a ship for the coach makers, the cabs, the advanced weapons, the steam carriages, and the light bulbs. And you're going to be doing that across multiple islands. That could be dozens of ships that you're going to be utilizing transporting the goods around, versus one ship taking just elevators around. And the key last note on this one, all the other items that you're going to be utilizing from the cab lines, whether it be the engines or the cabs, light bulbs, they are all a consumable item. All these items are going to be used and consumed by your workforce just to keep them happy. Whereas the elevators are not a consumable item. They are only used when you're actually upgrading. So if you're not upgrading, you're not actually consuming anything. All you're doing is building a stockpile of goods, rather than the steam carriages, which we had 130 over here. We might not be able to use that 130. We might only be able to use 30, because the other 100 is being used to keep the actual people happy. Same with the light bulbs. All the other items could be being consumed and being reduced and actually not being available on the actual trade network. Whereas the elevators, as long as you're not upgrading, you are just building stockpile and they're not consuming and going down. All these reasons make the elevators by far the best item for the global trade network. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, do appreciate any of the likes on the video, and comment down below if there's any other videos you'd like me to cover off next. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.